This is Matt Pearce. Jesus Christ gave us the goals, but Gandhi gave us the tactics. Hello, everyone. Now, welcome to Joe Lee, who's here with me tonight, and Jonathan I've managed to bring in as well for this show, and Ken, our regular coordinators here. And we've got quite a few issues we've got to get through. There's quite a few local political issues. Obviously, the big issue is the campaign, the referendum campaign, which is coming up next month. In the second half, we want to talk. I want to have a good discussion with Joe about some women's issues, and there's been a couple of tragedies to do with young teenage girls in Hong Kong this month. So we'll have a bit of discussion about that in the second half. But getting straight into the first half, perhaps we could update the listeners and our international listeners on the referendum campaign for the election, which is due very soon, in just a few weeks, on May the 16th, isn't it? The latest position, is that right, that just this week that Henry Tang, who's kind of the number two, if you like, in the Hong Kong government, isn't he, has been basically trying to play clever politics and trying to split some of the pro-democracy camp and get some of them to try to talk with him and negotiate and agree to what some of the things the government want to say. I mean, what did you guys think of that when you heard about that? Any thoughts on that, Ken?
Yeah, I think one of the worst group is the Alliance of Universal Suffrage. Like they were formed by the conservative pan-democrats, and now they're losing their position in either to be pro-referendum, or they are going to say anything to the government because they lose their bargain power and everything. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the best way for them to do is just support the referendum. So what do you think?
Well, this group, there's a lot of different organisations in Hong Kong, actually, for such a small city. And this is just another, isn't it? They've called themselves the Alliance for Universal Suffrage. And in some ways, a more accurate name could be the Alliance for Delaying Universal Suffrage. I mean, that's probably a more truthful name of what that organisation is actually trying to do, and trying to fight for. And you get some of these groups. I mean, some of them are blatantly pro-government groups, and some of them are what could be called people call moderate pro-democracy groups. And I mean, that group is one of those, basically. It's kind of a very moderate pro-democracy or friendly government type of group. And there's quite a few of those alliance kind of groups that get together, and but it makes me sick, actually. Every time I see what is actually a group fighting to delay or obstruct is a better word, actually, real democracy, and they often call themselves that, oh yes, we're fighting for universal suffrage. I mean, and even the Hong Kong government and the chief executive, they try and say, oh yes, we want to, we're really interested in bringing in universal suffrage.
Same as DAB as well.
That's right, the DAB, a classic case, actually, and. It's exasperating sometimes, especially as a foreigner. I can see, that it exasperates me that so many, that some of the people of Hong Kong they actually believe that some of these groups are genuinely interested in promoting real democracy, but they're not at all. It might shock some listeners for me to say that in such direct way, but that unfortunately is exactly how I see it. That's how it is, and so that group's come out and so on, trying to to chat with this guy, the government's number 2, Henry Tang, and so on this week. I mean, what else has been going on with the referendum campaign and so on? As regards there's been some as regards discussion by the LSD members and the Civic Party and what's Raymond Mad Dog Wong being he's kind of what they've been kind of doing and so on. Have you heard much what they're up to and so on? Any who's gonna volunteer?
I read from a Chinese newspaper, and it revealed that one of the candidates of Kowloon West constituency, her name is Pamela Peck,
yes,
Miss White, was approached by the pro-Beijing campaign. The pro-Beijing camp approaches her and asks her whether she leads supports from the camp. I think if it is true, it will be very dangerous for Raymond Wong's campaign. Because if you try to add up the votes in 2008, Raymond will probably lose in this election.
Yeah. I mean, that in some ways, that particular seat, it will be the media will be looking. They'll be most interested in that seat actually for exactly that actually, because you can imagine how the government, they might try to, in a very sneaky way, try and mobilise people, their kind of supporters, to try and support that woman actually, and I call her that woman. Who's
Miss White?
Yeah, who's she reminds me like a really strict headmistress or something. You'd be like, if you're a nightmare woman to have as your headmistress, wouldn't you? Do you not think she comes across as that kind of woman or not?
Miss Lemulay?
Miss Pamela Pack. I'm talking about. Yeah, Pamela Pack.
I think she was a very famous DJ in the past.
She was.
She was.
Yeah,
yes.
she was an agony aunt in the 80s.
Right. Okay.
Yes. I believe that he. I mean, from the statistic, you can see how Raymond could be in danger mathematically, because you see civic parties and LSD add up together is like 50,000